Welcome, subscribers and viewers, to another edition of WWE 2K14 Ringside Commentaries. Remember, this is interactive in that you get to select the match, the stipulation, the arena, and everything in between. But right now, as many of you know, earlier this week, Mason Ryan was released. And right now, I want to take us back to a match that I think Mason Ryan would have had his last match in the WWE, who I think he would have faced and how he would have done. Mason Ryan's final match against Mark Henry before being released from his WWE contract. We all know that Mason Ryan was trying to develop himself. He was trying to hone his craft. He was trying to better his in-ring technique over on NXT. He made a splash in the Nexus for about a cup of tea. And we've seen him have some matches on WWE television, although it wasn't, really recognized. But I wanted to have Mason Ryan be recognized in this match in WWE 2K14 and what I think would have been his last match, and pretty much just a little preview of how he would have done. And right now, he didn't do too good coming off the top rope. As you can see, he was way off, and that's one thing Mason Ryan never really did, was go to the top rope. And I think that's something he won't do again. And now Mason Ryan seems to have full control of Mark Henry top rope, and that time it paid off. Sometimes when you go to the high-risk district, it's going to pay off. Sometimes it doesn't. And Mason Ryan really putting his moves together against Mark Henry. Mason Ryan, he thought he was getting polished. He thought he was getting better. And I would say that Mason Ryan did improve. And I was looking forward to Mason Ryan making it to the main WWE roster. But that didn't happen for some reason or another. And when you're just one person commentating on these commentaries, it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit hard, to keep coming up with different things to say. But I'm doing the best I can to entertain my subscribers and my viewers, because that's what it's all about here on Sean's Entertainment, is entertaining the people that watch me and having to put the edits and everything else into this gameplay and what I do. So we're going to see what Mason Ryan can do in this match. We're going to see what he's all about. It's a shame that Mason Ryan had to get released. I mean, he could come back one day. Then again, he may not come back. Who knows? We all thought the sky was the limit for Mason Ryan, and sometimes the bottom falls out for you. And that was the case with Mason Ryan this time around. And Mark Henry, he isn't just some superstar that you're just going to beat within 5 or 10 seconds. I mean, Mason Ryan versus Mark Henry should be a decent matchup. And Mark Henry's the real deal. He's a former world champion. He's the world's strongest man. He has made an impact in Royal Rumbles. He's made an impact at WrestleMania. He almost defeated The Undertaker one year. So Mark Henry ain't no slouch. Mason Ryan has his work cut out for him in this contest. And Mason Ryan would be lucky, I think, if he were to defeat Mark Henry. I'm not here to take anything away from Mason Ryan. But at the end of the day, Mark Henry is the real deal. And Mason Ryan needs to understand that NXT is a very different animal than WWE. It's a larger audience. It's a bigger scale. You have more eyes on the prize. You're open to more criticism. You're putting yourself out there when you're on the WWE's main roster. When you're on NXT, you're making your splash. You want to do something that people are going to remember you by. And right now, Mason Ryan is having people remember him by doing that huge suplex to Mark Henry. And now driving his knee right into the neck, right into the back of the neck of Mark Henry. Mason Ryan doing pretty good for himself so far. He must have had Mark Henry scouted. You got to give it to him. He's on a roll so far, but how much can that roll be kept up? Mark Henry can turn this around just like that. Yeah, well, I will not take Mark Henry lightly, especially with the superstars that he has defeated. Mark Henry's defeated the likes of Randy Orton in the past. Remember that, the legend killer, Randy Orton, a future WWE Hall of Famer. So don't take that with a cup of coffee. And now, look at the strength, look at the power possessed by Mason Ryan. He amazes me with that power, but sometimes it's not all the power that can win you championships. And with this being Mason Ryan's last match, he wants to go out with a bang. Even though Mason Ryan, didn't have much time to develop his WWE career, Mason Ryan definitely showed you what it was like to be one of the big men in the business and, be accomplished at it. Just because he got released doesn't mean that he doesn't have what it takes to be a future WWE superstar. Mason Ryan could do other things. He could become a big name elsewhere. And I'm sure with Jeff Jarrett's new promotion coming up, maybe Mason Ryan could be a big fixture for that. Mason Ryan, truth be told, could be the future of the company one day. And now Mason top rope, he risks it all. And once again, Mason Ryan, you just don't want to go to that top rope. A big man like that with his agility, I mean, sometimes it's not the smartest thing to do, but many big men have been able to move around that ring like they were super lightweights. And, oh, wait a minute, submission maneuver. Imagine if he made Mark Henry tap out in his final match. Mason Ryan winning by tap out in his last match would definitely put an exclamation point, but Mark Henry isn't going to give up, not that easy. Mason Ryan's going to have to work for it. He's going to have to fight for it. Just because this is his last match, Mark Henry isn't going to take this lightly. Mark Henry is not going to take this ass-kicking two. Wait a minute, one. No, recover. I'm telling you, just a one count. That's all Mason Ryan could get on that account. And like I said, I'm definitely impressed with his skills, his ability. He's a well-rounded human being. He's a good kid. You know, he just has to find his right place. He just has to get in the tune, so to speak. And not everyone can be a John Cena. Not everyone can be a Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not everyone can reach the heights of a Hulk Hogan. But Mason Ryan did the best he could do with what he had to work with. And you have to admire that about Mason Ryan. And remember, he was with Nexus. He was alongside CM Punk for a short time. Many fans may forget that. He actually took out and attacked John Cena one night. That was probably one of the highlights of his WWE career. And once again, here comes Mark Henry coming around. Like I said, once you give Mark Henry that window of opportunity, he's going to take it. And I think Mark Henry's going to win this match here. I don't know how much longer Mason Ryan's going to be able to last at this junction. And now Mark Henry, but with the strength. And I'll tell you, that's what Mason Ryan brings to the table. His arm, his strength, his ability to be able to, it doesn't matter your weight, it doesn't matter your size, it doesn't matter your color. He does not discriminate. He'll pick you up at a moment's notice. Cover one. All Mason Ryan can seem to get is a 1 count in this match. Well, Mason Ryan's seeing that Mark Henry is not an easy customer. This guy is a very tough customer. When you're dealing with Mark Henry in the Hall of Pain, I think Mason Ryan one day wants to be inducted into Hall of Fame, but he's going to have to get through Mark Henry to get to that. And remember, this is Mason Ryan's last match. And look at that! An overhead! An overhead by Mason Ryan! Good God almighty! Mason Ryan cover one! No! I'll tell you, this 1 count, I'll tell you what, this has to be really getting in the head of Mason Ryan. Like, what do I got to do to get this guy for a 2 count? Obviously, it's going to take a lot more than what he's throwing. And another belly-to-belly. I mean, this man, Mason Ryan, is putting his moves together. I got to tell you, Mason Ryan, he should stay in the WWE. I wish he didn't get released, because what he's showing us in this match is that he can hang with the likes of anybody. If he can hang with Mark Henry, but he's going to get more than a 1 count. That, you know, he may be still a little green on some aspects. And, oh, I think Mason Ryan had a lot to offer. Another cover. 1, 2, and 3. Mason Ryan did it. Mason Ryan defeated out of nowhere. Mason Ryan defeats Mark Henry. I thought he would have wanted to punish Mark Henry a little bit more after all those 1 counts, and then out of nowhere, let's take a look at some of the highlights. And look at this, right at the start of the match, hits his finishing maneuver. But then Mark Henry would come back and fight and keep fighting on. But in the end, the power and the strength of Mason Ryan caught up to Mark Henry, and the world's strongest man ultimately ended up getting defeated. Ladies and gentlemen, your comments, your opinions, and remember, you depend on if this series continues. The more likes, comments, and views, the more this video